They had a really good run, didn't they? They were at the top of their game, tearing down statues, making white people get on one knee and apologise for slavery. They go to comedy shows and walk out fuming after hearing comedy.
Did I say anything racist, Brian?
No, you're good, man.
Yeah, man.
But unfortunately enough for the theys, the thems, and any other mutants from the sewer world of Futurama, cancel culture is finally over. Not everyone who was bullied in school had trouble adjusting to adulthood. Some of us are able to accept our school days for what they were and move on from them. But if you look in the mirror right now and you still see an overweight, blue-haired spacker staring back at you, then it may be harder for you to accept that people held their nose while walking past you in the school corridors, because people still hold their nose when they walk past you, don't they? Yeah. Your natural reaction to never receiving any positive attention, a trend that has followed you into adulthood as well, may be to seek power from your fellow man by any means necessary, which is essentially what cancel culture was. Poorly adjusted nerds who felt so very powerless, getting a high off the tiny fragments of power that they were finally feeling when they realised that if you send someone's questionable joke tweets to their employer, you may just get them sacked. Yeah! Fucking get it! No!
What's up with you?
I've just made someone lose a job.
Why did you do that?
Well, they tweeted the word f*** in 2016 and I saw it, so I sent it to their employer.
Oh, speaking of work jobs, how's the job search going?
I mean, I'm still not employed. I've walked into a few interview rooms. I've had a few comments about my personal hygiene, but that's not important. The fact of the matter is we've got someone sacked for saying a word. Come on.
Well, you might not have a job, but at least you've got a nice car.
Oh, no, this isn't mine. This is actually from the government. It's called a PIP car. I've got it because I'm so autistic, I can't wipe my own ass. Of course, we all know by now that the real motivating factor behind cancel culture was the opioid equivalent high that unwashed far-left control freaks were getting when they would play God with other people's livelihoods. But it was never in their best interest to admit that that was the real driving force. So they'd instead hide behind a false veil of social justice, convincing others and even themselves sometimes that they were actually acting from a place of morality, dishing out justifiable retribution. Cancel culture in 2025 is a shell of its former self because the freaks got too greedy. Common banter became a minefield, and traversing a conversation with a woman who had bright, colourful hair or a man wearing acrylics was a strenuous and risky task. You could ask a stranger for the time and end up with an harassment charge, dependent on his shade of nail paint, and I think in the end, for most people, that got fucking boring. Cancel culture could have ended much sooner if the general populace had only discovered that the key to beating it is to make two very simple realisations. The first is recognising that to be cancelled is to offer your personal power away to someone else. And the second is the cold, hard fact that people only have as much power over you as you allow them to have. To be cancelled in the first place is to say that someone outside of you has the ability to decide what you are going to say or do going forward. And that ability can only be achieved if you decide to surrender it and offer it up on a plate. If, for example, a YouTuber made a risky joke and then he got cancelled, but instead of bowing down and apologising to the mob of smelly, unattractive weirdos, he instead told them to fuck off, or better yet, ignored them, and most importantly, proceeded exactly how he was before, then the cancellation no longer exists. That's how easy it is. In small increments, cancel culture could have been an agent of change. An example being, the law sometimes does not hold child predators to a reasonable account. And as we've seen over the past few years, having a big platform on social media can sometimes go hand in hand with diddling kids. In isolated cases like that, where you've got a content creator who has easy access to young, vulnerable people, cancel culture could have been exercised for universal good, getting the word out about a dodgy influencer when the legal system fails, and in turn, literally saving children. Instead, because it was primarily a tool for control freak geeks to get a power high, rather than being true social poetic justice, it spread to all areas of the online world. The most notable form of cancel culture malpractice, in my opinion, was when it was geared towards people making jokes, people having a laugh. Oftentimes, the cancellers would demand an apology for the joke. That would be the smokescreen for what the end goal was. But because of how corrupting and addictive power can really be, apologising to someone whose real intention is to gain leverage and domain over you is perhaps one of the worst things that you can do. Submitting to a group of people who are desperate for you to submit to them is the equivalent of being chased by a hungry polar bear, and instead of making a fucking run for it, you stand there and season yourself with a dash of lemon and a sprinkle of pepper, making it so that he gets the tastiest meal possible. We're going to look at a very potent example of this with an individual who I actually had my own run-in with as a younger man, a bald-headed gentleman by the name of True Geordie. In 2022, True Geordie made what would prove to be a highly controversial joke when Andrew Tate announced that he was converting to Islam. Brian said that if Andrew wants to prove that he's really about that life, then he should blow himself up. A joke that clearly plays on the stereotype that Muslims are all terrorists.
Are you fighting Andrew Tate? Mate, come on.
Andrew Tate's got God on his side now. There's no way Brian would win that.
Although I would gladly blow myself up if I could take that fucking shitbag with us.
That's the use of a stereotype there, which is obviously not what he...
I'm just saying, if he really wants to prove it, do the right thing. Let's see how...
It's a stereotype.
Let's see how about that life you really are.
Although I would blow myself up if it meant I got a star for me cap. Why, aye, man? He's very clearly making a joke. It's not political commentary. It's not a statement. He's trying to make people laugh. He's insulting someone he doesn't like and he's trying to get a laugh out of it at the same time. That is a joke. In that instance, Brian should never have apologised because the type of people who want him to apologise for a joke are already misrepresenting him. Regardless of the context or how offensive it is, if it is a joke, then its bare bone meaning is to simply derive a laugh. So in order to take what is clearly a joke seriously, you have to twist the narrative. One must assume that the joke has added meaning beyond trying to make people laugh in order to warrant the offence felt. Otherwise, getting offended over a joke, that's some weird pussy behaviour. We can safely assume that a group of people who are altering the narrative because they felt offended with what True Geordie was joking about do not have his best interest at heart. Therefore, for him to apologise and in turn submit to a group who evidently want to see him crash and burn, he would only be adding fuel to their fire. Brian learnt that the hard way when he apologised.
And I used an unrealistic stereotype to take aim at someone who seriously dislikes me. Obviously, I don't believe that's what Muslims actually do, and I don't actually want Mr. Potato Head to die, as much as I don't really like him. It was a very stupid thing to say. It was an idiotic joke, one I'm sorry for, you know. And that's when I thought about people like Gib, you know, like people who I do rate and respect, who would think and see that and think, what is he?
What does he really think in that sense?
Yeah, because that's not... It's just not who I am, you know, and...
I can't fucking believe it, man. People are taking away me stars that I wouldn't fair and square me bush to the trials, fucking assholes. Is the comment section going to be full of people who accept his apology? Of course it fucking isn't. The only people who wanted this were people who were just waiting to pounce regardless and make an example out of him. And if you give those losers an inch, they will take a fucking mile. I can't forgive someone who only apologises when his money is threatened. Why as a stranger do you need to forgive someone anyway for saying words on the internet? Why is it up to you to give forgiveness? Someone give this man an Oscar for acting. He really cried. Laughing emoji, this man is a comedian. No matter how this apology went, these people weren't accepting it because they're cancelling you over a joke. If you're anything like me, you'll find it quite disheartening that so many people had such an adverse reaction to a fat bald man making a joke. But thankfully, as you're now about to see, the world is healing. So if we look back at the re-upload of the joke, and we look at the most recent comments from 2025, my video's title starts to make sense. For this, he was cancelled, bruh. I'm a Muslim, and honestly, world is so fucking soft. What is the world actually coming to that this guy has got cancelled for this? I don't see a problem with what he said. Muslim here and laugh my ass off. I can't believe the fallout over that joke. It was such a weak joke. Only fairies will get offended by that. Do you see what I mean? These are all the recent comments. We're so fucking back, boys. We are so back. True Geordie's a peculiar example for me because I'm not the biggest fan of him. He did literally try and cancel me for doing the same thing a few years earlier. So I have my own view of his hypocrisy, but I'm not going to let that. And this is the reason I used him as this example, despite my own personal grievances with him. And I say personal grievances, it's all on the internet, do you know what I mean? It's not deep. I don't think about True Geordie before I go to sleep. But like I say, despite that, for me, it still holds true that cancel culture is absolutely retarded. And I still think that even when someone that I don't particularly like is being cancelled. As it stands, at the moment, cancel culture is dead in the water. But I do not doubt for a second that sometime in the future, it will show its ugly head again. As we're now seeing in real time, the tide of public opinion is forever changing. In 2016, everyone was cracking racist jokes, hence why I have a subscriber count. In 2020, everyone went fucking woke and was against racist jokes, hence why I still have my same 2016 subscriber count. And now in 2025, it almost seems as if, for the most part, we've done a full circle. We are herd animals by nature, so whatever the common consensus is, best believe that a lot of us will follow it. If it's deemed okay to make risky jokes again, you'll see a lot more people making risky jokes, or at the very least, you'll see a lot less offence being expressed. If we collectively do another 180, and it's deemed again by the populace that it's time to take a knee and apologise for things that we did not do, then best believe you'll see people taking a knee. Human beings are social animals. We seek approval from one another. It's something that's hardwired into us. So I do get it. Now, as much as you and I cannot help but seek to fit in, we must remember, while we want to be perceived well by our fellow man, that's normal human nature, it's also very, very important for us to hold on to and maintain a sense of mental autonomy to think for ourselves. You may see things the way I do, or your worldview may challenge my own in a lot of areas, but as long as you can look yourself in the mirror and truly say that you haven't formed your perception off the back of someone else's, or better yet, the way you see the world is not based upon the way you think you're supposed to see the world, and you truly do form your own organic judgments, then in some way you have my respect. There's a video on my Patreon right now where I speak on this subject in much greater detail. The link to watch that is in the description. Alternatively, just Google patreon.com/Brad exclusive. If you're wondering why you haven't seen me live stream in a while, I still do my streams, but I just do them on a dedicated live stream YouTube channel now instead of on here. The link to that channel is also in the description. Alternatively, Brad does banner live streams into the YouTube search bar. If there's anything else you want to see me speak about, anything at all, just let me know in the comments. The worst I can say is no. The worst is I won't reply to you. I probably won't reply to you because I don't fucking know you. Why are you speaking to me? Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you coming back and tuning in after all these years, or if you're new, oh yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. That was a gay outro. It's staying.